Hi, folks. It is Wednesday, March 24th. And I've gotten a handful of emails from students in the past 24 to 48 hours, right before our peer review today, that were really concerning at different levels, but mostly were about how overwhelmed I think many of you are feeling right now. Some of it is getting adjusted to college. Some of it is certainly the pandemic. Some of it is professors not being flexible. Some of it is not having spaces on campus and help and support on campus. Some of it is mental health. I think it's like a big, huge mix. And some of it is just the fact that we are at the point in the semester where everything is happening at once. So I've been thinking for the past 24 hours or so, like, how can I be helpful? And we've talked about flexibility and how you guys should come to me if you're struggling with, getting stuff done for me. But I had a couple of students actually ask really explicitly about some help with time management. And that's a really tough thing to give advice on when the real answer is that there isn't enough time to do all of your classes and all of your life things well. That is the truth. And I know that's the truth because I was a student. And frankly, it's still true for me now. I feel like during the pandemic, especially, I'm doing everything less well than I would like to be. So that said, I think some time management strategies might be helpful. So I thought I'd talk for just a couple minutes if it's helpful for you about this. Normally I talk about this in class, but as you all know, I'm not going to see you all together for a while because we're doing group meetings next week. So I thought I would think about how I learned to manage my time better as a student, which to be honest didn't really happen for me until graduate school. So if you can take something from this now, you'll be ahead of the curve. And the first thing I want to mention was this idea of really taking a self-inventory. So thinking about how you work best and what you need to work best. For some of you, that's going to be really easy and you all already know it. And for others, it might take some thinking. So you might answer questions such as, what time of day are you at your sharpest? Are you a person who wakes up, wants a cup of coffee and wants to sit down and work? Or are you a person who does their best work at 10 p.m. to 2 a.m.? It took me a long time to realize I'm a 7 a.m. person. 7 a.m. to like 11 a.m. or noon, I'm at my sharpest. And so I do the most complicated work that I have to do during those times, if at all possible. Also, where do you work best? You're extremely limited, no doubt, right now. So many of the facilities on campus are not available to you, and even if some of them are, most of you are not on campus. You're living in someone's house, probably, where you'd much rather be on campus. So, and yet I would say, if you haven't carved out a real space for yourself, if you haven't found other places you might work, sometimes a change of scenery is useful. Really think about like, okay, if I'm doing heavy thinking, heavy writing, where's a nice quiet space for me to be? If I'm doing easier tasks, can I sit in the kitchen and maybe a little bit of noise is fine so that I can change it up and not feel like the monotony of space that I'm always sitting in. And then taking stock of course, like what are the tasks that you have to do that are the most intellectually challenging or draining energy wise? And what are those administrative tasks, right? What are the things you can do? There'll be a pain, you won't want to do them, but you can knock them out without a lot of thinking. And what are the things that you really, really need that brain power for? So really sort of taking an inventory in that way can help you map out a week or longer. So as I map out a week or longer, I think it's useful to think about the ways in which I'm sort of operating at multiple levels. And I'm thinking about long-term, mid-term, I guess I would say, and then really short-term, right? The day-to-day. So, I make long-term goals. If you were in the classroom with me, you would be probably making fun of me the way my previous students have. I carry multiple notebooks with me. I'm not very digital, as you are probably able to tell from these videos. But this is a planner. I don't expect you to start keeping a paper planner. I know it's very old school and that digital things do this better, but it's just the way I am. I keep my weekly schedule in here. It's a big mess. And then in this notebook, I keep my long-term and then shorter-term goals. So in the beginning, I have a list of many pages where I map out research goals, teaching goals, writing goals, and personal goals. And when I was a student, I would also map in long-term assignments for that semester. And then I go month to month and I break down what needs to be done every month. And I then, at the beginning of the month, map those tasks to a planner. This probably feels insane to some of you, and it will be not useful to some of you. But for some of you, it might be really eye-opening. And what that does for me is, again, like, it gets me thinking about my long-term goals, which are impossible to achieve unless you're breaking them down into very, very manageable chunks. Okay. So for me, that really helps. Some people use a version of this called a bullet planner. You can use it in any notebook. Mine isn't officially, it doesn't really follow that format, but the general idea is there. And then it also becomes a space as I get further into it to really keep some longer notes and really think about what am I doing. An idea comes to me while I'm working on something, I jot it down. One of the questions that someone had asked was, I want to read it exactly because it was reframed really well. How do you keep track of everything while maintaining focus on the specific project or document you're working on? And I think that is a real challenge. I will offer up one thing that I don't use, but I know people who use it with extreme success, and that is the Pomodoro method. Or Pomodoro technique, I think it's called. I will send along a PDF of it, but it's essentially breaking things down into very small tasks, working intensely for a very short amount of time, and then giving yourself a very short break and doing that over and over again to complete particular tasks or sets of tasks. People find it really, really useful because they can concentrate for 20, 25 minutes and then take a breath, and they will have something to sort of check off mentally or maybe physically there. And so then we also want to think about like making tough choices. So no one is doing their best during a pandemic, as I said, but we all have to prioritize. There's stuff that has to get done. There's stuff that has to get done really, really, really well. And there's stuff that has to get done just to get done. And I think that college is the time to figure that out. And of course, I don't want to say like, bail on these 3 classes and really nail it on the other 2. But ultimately, you are going to have to make tough choices there. What are the classes that you're most invested in? Who are the professors that you most need to have a good relationship with long term? What are the skills that you most need to build? Who do you think is grading you on completion versus how well you actually write this paper? And again, I don't love thinking about that. But in the end, really, when you are this bogged down and it's, just about April, in a pandemic with virtual learning, one hard thing sort of layered on top of another. I think it's really important, and learning to prioritize and really being strategic is going to be a skill that's really useful for you. So that's another thing to think about. I'm a big fan of rewards and breaks. So I'll say, I'm going to work for X amount of time, and then I'm going to give myself some sort of reward. That reward could be anything from taking a walk while I listen to a podcast to, a snack, or I'm going to have a seltzer even. It's pretty lame here. I'm sure you can come up with better rewards for yourself. But I do think that, sort of setting specific tasks and breaking them down if they feel too large is really, really key. Okay. That's a lot of scattered thinking, but mostly I want you to take away from this that this is the year of not doing things perfectly. And it's a real bummer that it's your first year of college for most of you, but most people's first year of college is a mess for other reasons. And so you're getting it all crammed into one. You're learning how to be a student of virtual learning, which I think is really, really challenging, such that hopefully when you come back and you have all those support systems in place and you're on campus and life is a little bit easier mental health wise, I think you're all going to rock it. You're going to do great. So if I can clarify anything that I have mentioned, please ask. Otherwise, be gentle to yourself. Try to give yourself a break. At least for my class, know that there's some flexibility and we still have time for revisions. Good luck. I know it's a tough time, but I'm glad that you all reached out. And I hope you'll keep talking with one another and with me about ways to sort of get through this and succeed despite the many, many things being thrown at you. Okay, talk to you soon. Bye.